Now, there's been an angry reaction in Israel following government advice here that shops should identify any produce made in Jewish settlements.
Yes, supermarkets are also being told it will be illegal to label produce as from Israel if the produce originated in the occupied Palestinian territories.
Well, we're joined now by Sarah Colborne, the Director of Campaigns and Operations at the Palestine Solidarity Campaign. Also with us is Jonathan Sacerdoti. He's a spokesman for the Zionist Federation, which campaigns for a permanent homeland for the Jewish people. Sarah, I'll begin with you if I may. You're welcoming this, but you still don't think it goes far enough?
Yes, settlements are illegal under international law, and the government has acknowledged many times that these settlements are illegal. And so we are welcoming the fact that shoppers, consumers now can make an educated choice and not buy goods from the occupied territories. We had a real problem with people phoning our office distressed because they bought goods labelled produce of West Bank thinking they were helping Palestinians when actually they were buying goods from illegal Israeli settlements. So we welcome it, but we really think that the government should go further and ban all goods from illegal Israeli settlements.
Jonathan, do you think this is a boycott in all but name?
Well, it's certainly something that will encourage boycotters like the Palestine Solidarity Campaign to seize hold of it and call for boycott, which is something that the government is against, says it's against, and it shouldn't be making life easier for boycotters to try and delegitimise the State of Israel, which has obviously a legitimate right to defend itself against its terrorist neighbour in Gaza, which is where thousands of rockets are launched upon homes in southern Israel all the time. And what is important about this is that the British government shouldn't be second-guessing or trying to throw a spanner in the works of any potential peace negotiations that could take place. Israel is ready to negotiate, and the Palestinian Authority has so far declined their offer to negotiate. So this doesn't help either side in any way, especially as it punishes the Palestinian workers who work in Israeli settlements which produce the products which the government is now helping boycotters to stop buying.
Okay, Sarah Colborne, I mean, Jonathan's just pointed out a lot of issues there, but this does seem to single out Israel, doesn't it? It does seem to be very detrimental to the Israelis on their own.
What it's about is a response to the fact that Israel is violating international law, flouting Geneva Conventions, it's occupying land illegally. And Jonathan mentioned the issue of Gaza. What happened was that when 1,400 Palestinians were killed in Gaza, and obviously 13 Israelis were also killed during that conflict, people here were shocked and horrified and appalled, and they really felt that action needed to be taken. And that's what it's about. So people are refusing to buy settlement goods and actually increasingly refusing to buy Israeli goods until Israel ends its occupation and abides by international law. And that's what this is about. It's about calling on Israel to abide by international law, and it should stop being able to flout law with impunity. It has to be held to account for its war crimes.
Jonathan, I mean, fundamentally, don't consumers have the right to know where their food comes from?
The fact of the matter is that in making this distinction, encouraging producers to have to, shops to have to label their goods in this way, the government is supporting a boycott. The government says that it does not support a boycott, and it's very important to realise why the government doesn't do that. It doesn't do that because it jeopardises peace, because it doesn't make peace negotiations more likely, because it jeopardises the welfare of the 30,000 Palestinians who work in Israeli settlements producing these goods. And for all these reasons, it's not a good idea to boycott Israeli goods, and it's not a good idea for our government to be making it easier or to encourage people to do so.
Sarah, Jonathan's already mentioned twice that this is jeopardising the welfare of Palestinians. Is that a fact or not?
What happens in Israeli settlements are Palestinians are working in Israeli settlements, but they're working under terrible terms and conditions, and the fact is that the Palestinians have called very clearly for an end to the sale of settlement goods from Israel. And that is very important for us to remember, is that the Palestinian workers themselves have called for this action to be taken.
Local Palestinian workers have expressed a desire for there not to be boycotts, and it's a fact that up to 30,000 Palestinians do rely on this for their welfare. The economy in the West Bank is increasingly doing much better, and that is in a global situation where that's not the case. This is thanks to things like Israeli settlements employing Palestinian workforce and making these projects.
The economy can I just ask by Israel's occupation.
Sarah, Jonathan, I mean, this is bringing politics into food in a way that we probably haven't seen since the apartheid era area of South Africa. I mean, do you think it's a good idea, or should politics and food production be kept completely separate in effect?
Well, you make the parallel with the actions people took against apartheid South Africa, and this is exactly what people are doing now. They are making an educated choice and sending a message to the Israeli government: stop your illegal activities, stop your settlement building, otherwise we will stop buying the goods from illegal Israeli settlements. That's what's going on.
Jonathan, fundamentally that's the problem,
yes,
isn't it?
But this
Under
doesn't
international law, British law, UN law, whatever you want to say, the settlements are illegal.
Clive, Israel has stopped developing any settlements in the West Bank. It has put a 10-month freeze on that. This is a huge gesture towards
continuing settlements in East
if you won't
Jerusalem.
interrupt me, this is a huge gesture towards reopening peace negotiations. There has been no partner to involve in those peace negotiations so far.
Because you haven't stopped constructing the settlements.
No,
that is
that's
the problem.
Not true. There has been a 10-month freeze started on settlements in the West Bank.
Not in East Jerusalem, and settlements are still being constructed.
And it is not the case that this should be some punishment put upon Israeli producers and the Palestinians who work for them in making these goods. It should not be a punishment put upon them for the concession that Israel has made in stopping all settlements for 10 months so that negotiations can resume. So far they haven't. So it's very difficult to blame the Israelis for this intransigence on the Palestinian side, which is currently stalling peace negotiations.
I'm afraid we will have to leave it there, but thank you both very much indeed for coming in. Sarah Colborne and Jonathan Sacerdoti. Thank you.
Thank you.
Right, now all the day's business news, and Babita's here.